I now give the floor to His Excellency Frederick, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Immigration of the Bahamas.
Mr. President, Madam Chair, the Commonwealth Secretary General, Kamalesh Sharma, said this to us at a gathering here in New York a few days ago. He said, "Don't be demoralized by your income, be inspired by your outcome." That should be a driving principle as all countries, particularly the small island developing states, seek to determine what the post-2015 development agenda will be. The obstacles are many. The lip service is evident. We have hope, and our moral case is strong. We are inspired by the potential possible outcomes of this new development agenda. We must be people-focused, and in this connection, I remember a story told by one of our colleague ministers from the Far East, who explained his absence to a constituent at home as dealing with many of the world's problems. "Yes," said the constituent to him, "but the water pump in the village has not been fixed." It is a reminder of who we really work for in this body. Not we ourselves, but for that villager who needs the pump fixed at home. During this session, our Prime Minister gave a comprehensive statement on climate change and the need for developed countries to honor their financial commitments in that regard. Secondly, we deposited the instrument for the Arms Trade Treaty, which helped to bring the number of countries to 50 and so caused the treaty to enter into force. Thirdly, in the margins of the meeting, we signed a memorandum of understanding with the International Organization for Migration. There are no higher priorities for the Bahamas, and they are the environment, fighting crime, and containing illegal immigration. These matters for the Bahamas go to the very root of our existence. If we do not resolve the climate change issues, there will be no Bahamas. Solving the crime problem in the Bahamas is central to our domestic peace and economic survivability. And no Bahamian doubts that the control of illegal immigration is central to our survivability as a country, central to our national identity, and central to our national security. We have only to see today how it drains our financial resources, and we do not have to look far to see how unchecked immigration in other countries has been a recipe for civil strife within their borders. We do not intend for that to happen to us. All of the efforts around the three main themes that I spoke about are buttressed by our work to ensure that we have a robust, strong, and sustainable economy. Mr. President, Madam Chair, tourism is by far the #1 economic activity for the Bahamas. The environment is central to that business. It should therefore be no surprise that the Bahamas has decided upon the following: the National Environmental Policy, 2005, the National Environmental Management and Action Plan for the Bahamas in 2005, the Bahamas National Wetland Policy in 2007, the Bahamas Protected Areas Fund 2013, and the Forestry Amendment Act 2014. We believe that these will all help with the issues of climate change. We also believe that the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is the primary international intergovernmental forum for negotiating the global response to climate change. We believe that this should be completed with dispatch. The Bahamas is committed to the small island developing states processes here at the United Nations. The Bahamas welcomes the convening of the World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction next year in Japan. The Bahamas, Mr. President, Madam Chair, is appalled by the practice of killing sharks simply for their fins. we must make the fishing of sharks a sustainable practice, as these creatures are a vital part of the global ecosystem. The Bahamas therefore assumed the chairmanship of the Save Our Shark Coalition in December 2013. The aims of the coalition resonate with us, and we believe that we can help save the shark from extinction. Mr. President, Madam Chair, the Bahamas has been grappling with serious crimes in our society related largely to, first, the inability of young males to settle disputes without regard to violence, and then the resultant proliferation of gang activity and illicit drugs, small arms and light weapons, and ammunition trafficking. So the Bahamas was therefore actively involved in the negotiations leading to the successful adoption of the Arms Trade Treaty, and considered its adoption a landmark accomplishment for the UN. The government believes the entry into force of the ATT will contribute to peace and security in the Bahamas and throughout our region. We deposited the instrument of ratification of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to the Arms Trade Treaty on the 25th of September. We continue to fight the illegal drug trade, to fight trafficking in persons, and investing in social intervention programs like the award-winning Urban Renewal Program in order to fight crime. Mr. President, Madam Chair, I spoke earlier of the MOU signed with the International Organization for Migration. Now, this is one part of a multifaceted strategy to stop the flow of undocumented non-nationals into Bahamian territory. New policies are now in place, and there will be stricter adherence in the future to these measures to stop this trafficking. A new fleet of vessels has been purchased to support our work in this area to stop migrant smuggling. In the last few months, the Bahamas entered into important agreements with our immediate neighbors, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti, to come to terms with vexing situations that impact our good relations. These accords are on fishing and on migration. Let there be no doubt that we mean to bring illegal migration under control. Nevertheless, relations with our neighboring countries remain good. This is all the more reason why we believe the continued economic embargo by one neighbor against another in our region is counterproductive to the peace and good order of the region. We continue to keep matters with regard to the governance issues in our neighbor, the Turks and Caicos Islands, under review. Mr. President, Madam Chair, the Bahamas anticipates the forthcoming launch of the International Decade for Peoples of African Descent to be held under the theme People of African Descent, Recognition, Justice, and Development. The theme of the decade is also closely linked to the efforts of CARICOM member states in seeking the restorative justice due to the legacy of 400 years of slavery. We are heartened by the unveiling of the winning design of the permanent memorial in honor of the victims of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade. We reaffirm our support for this important project. Mr. President, Madam Chair, the Bahamas welcomes the convening of the third International Conference on Financing for Development to be held in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia in July 2015. We plan to participate in that conference. We consider that the conference will provide a forum to address the need to demystify the belief of and go beyond gross domestic product as the sole indicator of sustainable development. We need to convert that into policy, as well as the matter of international cooperation on tax matters. In this connection, the Bahamas reaffirms the important role of the United Nations in addressing matters related to international tax cooperation, given its universality and legitimacy. Mr. President, Madam Chair, the Bahamas reaffirms its commitment to the promotion and protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms for all people, regardless of their social station or status. These are neither negotiable or peripheral. As a demonstration of its commitment to human rights, I am pleased to report that the Bahamas has passed its own national legislation. It's called the Persons with Disabilities Equal Opportunities Act, and this will ensure that the Bahamas' ratification of the convention occurs in due course. In addition, 4 bills have been introduced to the Parliament to amend the Constitution of the Bahamas to bring about full equality between men and women in law. This moment places a significant opportunity in the hands of the people of the Bahamas to usher in a new era of equality for men and for women. Mr. President, Madam Chair, the Bahamas looks forward to the process of elaborating the post-2015 development agenda, and we look forward to actively participating in the intergovernmental process that will lead to the adoption of the post-2015 development agenda in September 2015. Our vision for the post-2015 development agenda is one that is creative, inclusive, and transformative. Mr. President, Madam Chair, the Bahamas supports UN Security Council reform. As we look around at the tens of millions of dollars that were spent and are being spent to bring this physical structure up to code and into the 21st century, why can't the organs of the UN, and especially the Security Council, not reflect 21st century realities? Mr. President, Madam Chair, last year, the Bahamas celebrated its 40th year of independence. In addressing the General Assembly last year, the Right Honorable Prime Minister of our country, Perry Christie, renewed the commitment of this country to playing its part in making our planet a more peaceful and prosperous place, characterized by cooperation and mutual respect and support. We believe that each country has a primary responsibility for its own development, and throughout my statement, I've indicated the achievements and challenges of the Bahamas in this regard. I repeat that we face in the environment, with crime, and with illegal migration, that is existential for our country. We are inspired, however, despite the many challenges, by the possible outcomes. We therefore exhort the members of this august organization to stay motivated and committed, for each new effort undertaken and each achievement garnered brings us nearer to our development goals. It remains only to say, now, more than ever, we need the United Nations. Thank you.
I thank the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Immigration of the Bahamas for his statement.